Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? What's going on? How are you? What's up? It's me, your brother, and your boy Hebot. Let's talk about what's going on. This is my thoughts on what's going on the gaming industry and the gaming community, and really the ignorance, the hypocrisy, for lack of a better term, even the stupidity, right? That the gaming community and that the gaming social media aspect has become. Microsoft the other day did their Inside Xbox, where they showcased a bunch of new intellectual properties, IPs, in which they showed off these up-and-coming studios that are working on, and well-known studios already that have been around for a little while, on some new IPs that are specifically starting to work on next-gen consoles, being the Xbox Series X. And in those presentations, you saw that they highlighted games like Bright Memory Infinite, and games like Scorn and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and other things here and there like Ascend and Medium. And to be honest, it was done in a very traditional sense and traditional style, where they showed you gameplay footage of the game running in actual game in engine, and also gameplay of the game in video format. They did not have a person playing it in front of the TV. They did not have a person sitting down on a couch and talking about it. It was basically done as a digital format, in digital form, with a digital presentation, due to the situation that we're in right now. And of course, as you all know, it's very hard times, very different times. So things are being, this is all brand new and with new style of execution and with a new style of presentation. So it's all a learning process, of course. But nonetheless, I think they did a really good job and conveyed the message, because it's not a live stage where a person can actually stand there, play the games in front of a crowd, and it's being recorded in real time with a spokesperson speaking like a Phil Spencer and introducing the studios, the games, the developers, and showing also a trailer after they show gameplay. For the most part, I think they did a really good job. They showed a lot of good gameplay footage. Out of 12 games, they showed 10 games with actual gameplay. It got people excited. And some of them were actual games that have been on PC in beta form, like Scorn and like Bright Mirror Infinite, I think it is, or Mirage Infinite. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. That's actually being done by one developer from, I believe, Korea. Which looks like an amalgamation of like Crysis, Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, Titanfall, and I'm trying to remember the other game. Titanfall. Well, you guys know what I mean. Anyway, either way, the game that they showed looked really impressive. And if you go and look at the footage that's available out in the YouTube scene, and you compare the footage from the old build to the new build, you realize that it's a night and day. It's a night and day difference. It's being done with the new hardware in mind, with ray tracing technology, and things like um, what you call it, high quality textures and high quality resolution, especially if you went to the Xbox channel after the fact. They showed the trailers of the gameplay in those 4K format with the high resolution and even with the 60 frames presentation. Then afterwards, they spoke to some of the developers, like the developers making the game Medium, um, that is exclusive to the Xbox One X, and those are the developers that did the game Layers of Fear 1 and 2, which was an indie game. This time around, they specifically explained why they chose Xbox. Microsoft is fully funding them and helping them, giving them the money that they needed to uh, accomplish their vision, as well as they said that that's the reason why they chose to only do it exclusively for the Xbox One X hardware. It's not even going to be able to play on the uh, Xbox One, the regular Fat S, or even X, because it wouldn't be able to handle what they're trying to achieve with the technology. No load time. Really awesome looking game. It has a really nice vibe of Alan Wake and Silent Hill. They even chose and were able to get the composer of the original Silent Hill to make the game or the score for the game. So it looks really fantastic. And then Scorn is a game that's been in beta also on PC, which also looks very amazing with J.R. Geiger's art style. The guy who created the artwork for the Aliens franchise. And it represents very well. And they also started with a Kickstarter and explained why they chose Microsoft and that they gave them full creativity. They're not getting involved. They're not putting no constraints in their hands. And the unfortunate part is that instead of people being excited, the usual suspects like always came out, and instead of embracing, the media also came out. They started saying things like it wasn't a well put together presentation. It didn't show what it's going to do with the console. Even though the segment where they talked to the guys from Medium and also talked with the guys from Ubisoft Valhalla, them talking and what type of new technology they're aiming for, they're putting in the game, what they're trying to do. And, it was there, even, and so people are like, oh no, they said they were going to show gameplay. They really did it, even though they said also trailers and surprises and footage. It was a mixture of everything that they promised in their wording when they were advertising before the show or days before the show. And and it just goes to show you how disconnected this gaming generation really has gotten, and how bad it's gotten and out of control, where anything that Microsoft does is a complete problem, but whatever Sony does and Nintendo, even though they do the exact same thing or less, they get praised for. Like in the case of Nintendo, for example. Nintendo did a Nintendo Direct and they showed a picture of, or what looked to be like an intro in almost like a background of a canvas digitally, saying Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 in development, Metroid Prime 4 in development, No More Heroes 3 in development, or 2, whatever it is. And people went crazy. They went ecstatic. And this is the kind of thing that just I can't comprehend, and that I've always been pointing out since the whole generation started, that the bias and the narrative, how it changes all the time. Every single time when it comes to Microsoft, even though Microsoft is being as transparent as possible. And to be quite honest, they're the only ones actually showing stuff. All the things that we've gotten so far from, PlayStation, as far as PS5, has been documents talking about their heating system that they're trying to implement. Mark Cerny stand up in front of a crowd that was done in PowerPoint, which you can clearly tell they were fake. and spoke a bunch of technical stuff in trying to word it in a way where it made it seem like if they were doing something that the Xbox One X wasn't, or Series X was not going to offer. Uh, like he did when he talked about if you split the teraflops in the PS4 Pro, and you can actually get, with certain techniques, the equivalent of 8 teraflops, which does, had some truth, but it's all in theory. It's not something that has actually been executed, meaning it could work with smaller titles, but not more high-end demanding games, like, let's say, an Anthem, right? And it's just, it's incredible how people forget, because even when the Sony was presented, the PlayStation, in its showcasing, they just showed videos of a quick video of, I think it was Killzone, and a quick video of Resogun. And when it came out on the launch, I remember they showed a quick trailer of Uncharted 4 when they were doing the grand opening of the release. And people were hyped. People were crazy. They talked about Uncharted 4 from that point all the way till it came out. And it didn't come out until like 4.5 years later. And it was nothing but hype. Even when they showed the trailer of Nathan Drake waking up on the floor when it was raining and he's in the middle of the jungle, that was a video format and everybody went crazy. So, like I said, it's just amazing to me how disconnected and how biased and unprofessional when it comes to gaming sites this generation really is. And then, poor Aaron Greenberg, which is, I felt he shouldn't have done that at all, because I didn't think he had the need or should have done it in any way, shape, or form. But because he is a professional and he has to, answer to his people and do PRs, right, to keep everyone happy, had to make a statement saying, we heard you, we did a mistake. And then people try to flip that around and made it seem, see, Microsoft admitted, when in reality they just did it because they wanted to shut everybody down and shut everybody up so they wouldn't keep giving them that negative press, because it still hurts for the people looking on the outside in that are casuals, that don't know any better, and listen to only videos, or listen to the dummies, or the unknowledge people, or the people that don't know any better, and that do these YouTube videos, like people like Angry Joe and things like that, or the big guys that always trying to like Spawnwave and things like that try to do these videos saying, oh wow, it's bad, it was horrible, but they don't talk about how they praised all these other shows when they were doing a presentation for things like the Nintendo Switch, which was all video format. Nobody was playing it. They sat down and made believe to show people how they can play a console in different ways, like in the park, playing basketball, which wasn't real. So, it's a shame. But then you fast forward till today, and you see that, somebody like Jeff Keighley, which is, a well-renowned pony. We all know he loves Sony brand. He's been blatantly honest and always admitted that he's a Sony-aholic. Even when he did the show presenting the Microsoft stuff, he had Peter Moore on there, Michael Pachter, and even Aaron Greenberg stopped by for a few. And he was throwing little joking pop shots, being funny, trying to talk negative about the show. When Aaron left and he kept talking to Peter Moore, he said something to the effect or the extent of, oh, now you can say what you really feel about the stuff with Xbox Series X, Peter, trying to be funny. And his face, when he was looking at the videos of the games, was like, oh boy, what's this? Like, he really looked miserable. Like he just had to do it because it's part of his job. But he doesn't have that enthusiastic look or feel or face like he does when he does Nintendo stuff, or even when he does Sony stuff, primarily or particularly. We're talking about a guy that actually was in a Sony game, because that's how badly he keeps sucking on them every time. And today, he had the nerve and the audacity to act like there was going to be a game presented. And they showed an Unreal Engine 5 tech demo, like they did back then with Samaritan. And the funny thing is that you should have seen the expression and gesture in his face. He looks like he was like in heaven, super happy. And he kept talking to the developers, and he made sure that the developers of this engine were saying things like, oh, the PS5, hardware is very capable. And, it's funny because it wasn't a game. It was just a tech demo. It was not a representation of a real game coming out. It was to sponsor the engine, saying that it's coming out later in the future. And then you come to find out in Windows Central that the game tech demo is also running on the Xbox Series X, and quite possibly with a better presentation because it has, more power and efficiency, obviously the way it was built. And then you find out later on as well through Digital Foundry with Rich Ledbetter, I think it was, that it was running in 1440p at 30 frames per second. And nobody slandered anybody. When just a couple of days ago, after the Xbox show, the, Ubisoft and the guys from, making Valhalla said that at this point is running at a minimum of 30 frames on the Xbox Series X. It's not final build. And they're not saying specifically if it's going to be that way. Keeping in mind that it's a cross-generational game. So Ubisoft can alienate all those people that bought PS4 and Xbox Ones this generation, or even Switches, because they try to port their games even to the Switch, some of them. Or at least that's the plan, right? So they got to keep it within parameters. And the more ambitious you get with a game, obviously, the harder it is to make the transfer and the port over to a weaker platform or hardware. That's just common sense. That is why Medium and Scorn are exclusive to the Xbox One, because they're utilizing the full potential and power. But those are not big developers or companies that have risk of losing millions and billions of dollars. Like in the case of Ubisoft. If they don't sell to their actual, audience that they already established on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, they have a lot of money to lose. So Valhalla is running on cross-generational hardware or engine, meaning that it's still scalable to bring it down, where it's still going to look good quality or quality enough to run on an Xbox One and a PS4, which makes perfect sense. It's a business. It's a transition. And until that transition doesn't come in full-fledged and full force, they can't dedicate the time just for that hardware. So I bet either by next year or the year after, the third year in, when people have migrated over to the new consoles, then you'll see the difference in the power, and they'll probably more than likely, get rid of the versions for this generation of consoles, meaning the Xbox One X, the Xbox S, PS4, PS4 Pro, so forth and so forth. So to get back to this presentation of the Unreal Engine 5, everybody's going crazy talking about, oh, this is how it's done. They only showed one game. Microsoft showed 12. They only talked to one developer for about 35 minutes. Microsoft talked to two developers and showed the games within the span of 45 minutes. Okay, and it was real games that are really being made, that are ready to go very soon, that we will be playing. The actual games themselves, not a tech demo. And then I read in a little bit closer, and you come to find out that in that tech demo, and what they were saying is that's in beta form, that nobody's going to get the real full-fledged version of it until late 2021. So that means they get the early build in 2021 in the beginning, in January, to start testing and working and seeing what kind of features, how it's used, how it's executed for game development. But you won't get the full build until 2021. So we won't see no games running on that engine full-fledged until probably 2024 or 2023. 2 years, maybe 3 years in. Maybe year 6 will be on that Unreal Engine 5 because Unreal Engine 4 just came out and people barely touch it and barely use it. Only Microsoft games tend to use it. So it's hysterical. They give themselves away. They show their lack of knowledge in gaming. They show their biased. They show their hate towards Xbox. They show their ignorance, like I said, and it's just laughable. It's funny. And then when someone like me that has the common sense to break it down, do the research, talk with the sense of explaining, well, this is what this is what that is, and putting the pieces together and to understand the differences, I'm considered a corporate slave or a fanboy when I'm just a knowledge gamer because I've been doing it for such a long time. And I know how it works when new consoles come out and the transitioning period and how it is to create hype, obviously. The way Jeff Keighley did today. He did that because that demo was running on PS5. But never once in that demo did they mention that they were doing the game on PS5, but that it was running on 1440p, 30 frames per second. No, they never once mentioned that. All they said was about nanolights, the technology, which is basically, instead of using polygons, you use video assets of actual things that you use in like movies or in real life, like surfaces and textures, and you put them on in the background, and you can achieve up to 8K of resolution, even though the whole resolution of the actual game could be, let's say, not resolution, 8K textures, even though the game could run on a 4K resolution, meaning higher quality density textures. With this new technology, and I guess it's less taxing in polygon form to the CPU and the GPU. That allows you to achieve more realistic graphics, which is fantastic. New technology and hardware is always exciting. So to hate on Xbox showing, even though they show real games, and then get excited and hype up a demo, just shows how sad the state of gaming is right now. And I've been saying this with my brother E-Rock and my brother Sega Forever for such a long time now. Very long time. And it's not going to get better by this type of behavior, backlash, and stupidity. It's just not. We need to understand that it's all got to be presented to us with a vertical slice because it's a brand new generation. But the fact that Microsoft said 60 frames is something that they're aiming for the new standard for the Xbox Series X means that they're being honest. That's what they're going to do. And more than likely, you'll see it with all their exclusives. What other developers do, that's on them. They can't mandate the 60 frames, even though they have marketing deals and they should be able to. You would think so. But developers are going to do what they feel is comfortable for them. And if they feel they need to make it where it's more within reason to make it for the existing consoles out there, like PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, to make more money, then you can't argue that. They're not going to tell you that because, that's business. They're not going to tell you that. No one needs to know that. No casual is going to care about that. Casuals only care if the game looks nice. They don't care about frame rates. In most cases, they don't even know what it is. But for us, the hardcore, it's our obligation and our duty, and us, the YouTube influencers and content providers, to break it down and try to teach the people with the knowledge we have what the differences are and what they mean. Because the whole inception and standard of gaming, of any video game, is to run in 60 frames per second because that's what matches the visions of your eyes for the best performance and for the best presentation with your eyes and with what you feel when you play the game. physically through the controller. Since Pong, frame rates have been always 60 frames. Now they achieve even higher in the PC space, which for the first time, we're going to have that option as well on consoles. When they showed Dirt 4, that was running at, they said it got it running as high as 120 frames because it's a racing game. It's like a sports game. It's a little bit easier and doable to do. Plus the power of the cloud with Microsoft, with what they did with Forza 5. And you also got to take into consideration ray tracing, HDR, DirectX 12 Ultra and the features that it offers. All these things are going to play a big factor and role to alleviate the processing of what and work that comes from the CPU and the GPU. So games are going to look incredible for everyone on console and PC. I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was hysterical. I wanted to talk about how I immediately noticed the hypocrisy, hyping up, an engine for a tech demo that's not even available until late next year in 2021. Meanwhile, Microsoft showed real games that are actually in their final form that are coming out very soon. And you guys just see these people on social, in the gaming community, calling themselves real gamers, Xbox representatives, and they're the first ones slandering, being stupid about it, or negative about it towards Xbox, when all they did was held the show in the traditional sense, like they've done in the past. And it was fine, as long as it was Sony, and as long as it was Nintendo. And shout outs to one of the guys on Twitter, where he pointed out, I forgot who it was, his name, about when we used to get our game magazines. Our game magazines only had pictures back in the day. And then we read the article of what the developers were talking about for their vision in the games, of what they wanted to do, what it looked like. And that imagination, what we saw in those pictures, opened up our minds to, I can't wait to see what it looks like running in real time, or what it plays like with the gameplay mechanics, or the fun factor. So the hype was escalated tenfold. So when we got the game on hand, it was a better experience. Now with social media, all that gets ruined. It gets ruined because of the haters, the trolls, the complainers. And it's sad. It shouldn't be that way. You guys are ruining gaming, not only for others, but for yourselves. It's all about the anticipation, the mystery of what the game's going to offer. You're super spoiled with what you get now, and it's still not enough. I don't get it. It's terrible. Anyway, guys, that's my thought about what was going on and what happened. Thought I'd do a quick video and talk about it. I hope you guys stay and tune in to the very end to hear my thoughts and words. As always, give it a thumbs up if you like it, a thumbs down if you didn't. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about what I talked about and what I said. And let me know how you feel. And as always, share this video with someone you think might enjoy the video. And you can find me on social media. Hebot Powerful Gamer on Twitter, Instagram, C_respect. Hopefully soon on Facebook with a Hebot page for my action figures and video game content as well. And if you ever want to help me out in any way, you guys know how to do it. And you guys know that it's only from the kindness of your heart. It's all down in the description below. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Love you guys. See you soon. Take care. And until the next one. Peace.